put a lot of time in this one. I decided this year I'm going to have the juice. It's a huge year for the Dolphins draft. I think just thinking about Greer operating the drafts for the last couple of years kind of slowly pulled me out of it. I got my man George from Fin Faithful Podcast. Dude, this guy does draft boards. He's really good at it. He's going to start teaching me a little bit of his stuff. We're going to work together. So I want to kick off my draft coverage. I'm not saying it's expert. I think there's areas where I'll be strong and maybe other areas where I'm going to need to grow. But I want to start with the defensive side of the ball. I want to go over Hafley, what he does on defense, because that's going to drive the prototypes, the styles, the skill sets of people that we're going to be looking at. I want to go over that. I want to go over how the players on our team match up with what Hafley does, and then possible prospects for that first round pick. I've narrowed it down. This draft, when you look at it, there's a lot of defensive players in that first round. There's definitely some offensive linemen. There's definitely one quarterback. Some people disagree. There's some good stuff. I recently heard from George on his podcast about Mendoza and his receivers. But we're going to have to do something big with that 11 pick. It puts us out of that top range of talent, but there should be somebody very good sitting there for us, either on the offense or the defensive side of the ball. I'll do the same kind of concept with the offense next. So that's the deal. Guys, please like, subscribe, comment, view, all that stuff. The salesman's side is not my strong suit. But it's what makes this thing happen. So please help me out with that to keep Curtis in the biz and the sponsors happy. Appreciate it. Now, what are we building around? We're building around Hafley. I dug into his scheme. I'm going to do it not too deep. But what he likes to do is one gap. That means his guys, his defensive linemen, they're shooting on run and pass. They're not occupying. And if you compare it to what Weaver did, Weaver was more in the line of the Boyer and the Flores. He liked his guys being two gap, holding position, or shooting. And it would be split in the run defense and how they were penetrating on the pass rush. But Hafley is high one gap, and this is going to bode well for guys on our roster, and some not so much, but it's going to kind of pin in who you're going to be looking for in this draft. Now, in pass, Hafley likes zone. And if you're trying to draft guys, remember the hardest part with the Weaver and the Boyer, and especially the Flores, you need guys who can play man. That means you need guys that are big enough to do a little hands for jamming guys off the line, but you need them to have both speed and acceleration and cuts. They need to be premier to leave them an island, especially when you're in the zero. It is very hard to find those guys later in the draft that demands premium cornerbacks in that first round of elite talent. And then when you lose that guy, it's a big drop off. There's a lot of potency in that. When you got two good man cover guys, you can bring everybody from everywhere. But when you're looking at zone guys, a lot of the stuff that you need, that high end speed, I mean, he runs about 70% zone Hafley and 30% man. But the man can be used in conducive situations. And if you understand your personnel, it can be on off-schedule third downs where you're bringing extra pressure, or maybe not extra pressure, so you can protect the guy, because it doesn't have to be all man. It could be some man. You got the guy man and he's running through zones. There's ways to protect guys, but you don't need these elite, super duper athletes. What you need is guys who work well in short area space, quickness over speed, physicality to make those tackles, but brains. And there's guys all the way back to the draft that will have the brains. It will allow you to take cornerbacks who just really are not great at man and put them at safety position. You'll be able to find guys later in the draft that if they're smart, They got the quick area speed. They're kind of bigger. They can jam guys off the line. They can make those tackles. It opens up the opportunities and doesn't pigeonhole you into first round picks at cornerback. Now, what he does, sometimes he'll run cover three, inverted cover two, Tampa variations, and zone shells designed to pair with one gap. Now, if you really look at it, the hardest probably thing to find is those linebackers, because you need guys to stop the run and then speed and smarts to drop in those zones. Sometimes when you get that Tampa, there's a lot of space over the middle. Now we got Brooks, who's perfect for that. And there's a guy in the draft, Styles, who I like. You could put both them there, and those are very hard pieces to find. And you can pepper out the rest of the stuff as you go through the next couple of drafts to fill this out, because you don't need these premier guys except premier smarts and premier speed. So he likes to use man on third down, red zone, clear passing situations, and guys that aren't great in man can kind of be helped out and protected in a lot of ways by the call and the scheme and the situation. This is great. Now he plays a lot of off, 6 to 8 yards off. He doesn't really play a lot of guys jamming inside. He probably wants them to be a little physical. You can put them at 4 and they can do some stuff. You don't want them getting moved out of the way in the run game. But a lot of the stuff is 6 to 8 yards off, cover 3 match, which means you need vision and awareness to keep one eye on the quarterback, one eye on the route, and the speed to break. It's easier to find. It's not as shut down. But it's kind of like a Fangio in some ways. So he prioritized speed to the ball over disruption at the line. So quickness, it's hard to find guys with great speed and quickness. You can find guys with speed, not great quickness, guys with quickness, not great speed. But in this style zone, the quickness thing is easier than the speed. And it opens up the possibilities here. So let's take a look at this graphic here. All right, so this is where we're currently at as far as our personnel. Now, Fitzpatrick, you can see him top right, green. He's a guy, he'd be great for us. But is he going to be here 3 years from now? And then maybe you could use him to lead the defense that are not so bad and train guys. But he's proven to be a guy who doesn't really do what he doesn't want to do. And does he want to be on a rebuilding team? He might give problems. There's an opportunity to trade this guy post-June, get maybe a 3rd round draft pick for him, and that's a big pick in the 27 draft. Yeah, you'll have a hole, but if you wait a year, maybe you get a 4th. And what are you really doing with that? Now, if you want him to build your locker room, it's a concern. He can do it, but if he's not an interested party, then it might not help. Melifanu in the red, he's out of here. He's a free agent. You don't want him back anyway. You got Dodson, a linebacker, and he just doesn't have the smarts. I don't know. He's okay. He's your 3rd. I'd want him to be a 3rd. But you can cut him, get $3 million saved, $700,000 out of here, but it does fill a hole, put a hole there. Then you got Brooks, who's perfect for what Halfley likes to do. He's excellent, but he wants a raise. So moving off a guy like Fitzpatrick, you can move some of that money to Brooks, who's going to be here in the long run. Cornerbacks, Douglas is gone. He's too old. You ain't bringing him back. Kohu, he's a free agent. Do you want him back? Maybe in a song and a dance. But that's about it. Chubb, you move him out. I already talked about that. You can get money. If you wait post-June, you just got to manipulate the money so you can do it. Now, on the other side, Jones, too small, doesn't have the brains, better man guy. He's out of here. So really, when you look at the youth movement, Juju Brents, he's a pretty good player. He played well for us. How good is he in zone? He never stays healthy. He's a guy who'll be on the roster and you can put in a mix, but you can't trust him. And then there's Marshall. Marshall's big. He's not a nickel guy. Think he'll work better in zones. Not exactly certain about the brain aspect. He's physical enough. He's fast enough. He's quick enough to give him zones where he's not chasing guys. So he's definitely a guy I think will be a starter this year or pushed for that position. Now, when you get inside, I guess I'll talk about Trader. You got Trader Jr. to fill for Melifanu and Fitzpatrick if you move off him. He's very smart. He can work the zones. He was a rookie. I think he'll fit in here too. I think he's going to get a spot as a starter or the third. But you still need one more guy definitely to push for the starting position or fill in from Fitzpatrick. But then when you get inside, there is pros and cons to Hafley. Now, Sealer struggled last year. But if you watch Sealer is best at using his size, using his speed, and shooting inside. And he really is at his best in the 3-5 technique. What we're going to be doing a lot of here is 4 down linemen, no longer really the 5 guys at front, the 50 look all the time. It's going to be 4 guys. You're going to need your ends to be more stout. But Sealer, I think, has more juice in the tank. I don't think that he was really helped a lot. I think the scheme of the 2 gap, being inside without, say, a Calais Campbell, my man Conan Campbell, dominating and sucking up those 2 blocks to let him do his thing, it really led to a down season, and he was injured coming in. I think he will have a resurgence in the Hafley system, in the 1 gap, using his speed, using his size and agility to attack that. Jordan Phillips, who I like a ton, but he's a 2-gapper. I think if you look last year, he had a lot of snaps considering, but he's going to become more of a role player. He just doesn't fit in the Hafley scheme as much. He's just not quick enough, although he could develop and stuff, but he's not the exact prototype for what you want. But you definitely will use him in settings, in short yardage, red zone. He'll come in and be that pit guy in the 0-1 to soak up blocks. And you can mix it up between 1 gap and 2 gap. I'm sure he's going to a little bit, but he's kind of a little bit of odd man out from a skill set standpoint. Chop Robinson, he talked about, Sullivan talked about, he talked about it. He didn't want guys that are a bunch of guys that are these like role play kind of guys that have strong in one suit, weak in another suit. You got him. You're not moving off him. He struggles in the run game. I don't see him being a guy who's an every down guy. He's going to be good for, say, a pass rush situation. Hafley doesn't like to blitz a lot. He likes to rush 4 guys. So he will be a guy, but if you're looking at what we want to do, at this stage, he doesn't fit. He can't play linebacker. Hafley's going to use probably a 2 linebacker, 1 safety kind of hybrid, then fall into the nickel 2, at a dime, I should say. Robinson is a little bit of an out because you look at those Packers DNs, they're bigger guys. They're expected to kind of be a 3-tool dude, and he's not at this stage. And if you move off Chubb, there's definitely going to be a hole there. And you don't really have any ends outside that. Now, for good news is Grant will fit much better. You look at him, I made fun of him. He's got the grandma chest. He doesn't have the great ability to hold up under the run. Not terrible because he showed some stuff, but he's not a 2-gapper. You look at what he could do. It's shoot, to swim. He's got to build some more technique on some other skills, some other tools in the pass rush department. But Hafley's system's going to uplift what he wants to do. He's not going to be expected to take 2 guys on. He's going to shoot, and then everyone around him is going to be shooting, and they're going to cause chaos, and he's not going to be asked to be stout. So this is going to improve his pass rush, which is always pretty much 1 gap for the most part anyway. But the run defense, and then he should get a little stronger and be older. And so I think there's going to be a strong improvement in Grant. Not to say he's worth the pick yet or whatever, but Hafley's system will suit him much better. And while Phillips, it's going to diminish him a little bit. You put a lot into Grant. He's got a higher upside no matter how you slice it. And so I think this works out really well. Biggers is another guy, see if he continues. He's definitely going to be on the roster. But when you look at all this, there's a lot of holes. But the good news is because of the zone system, you can find guys in the third round for your safeties and your cornerbacks and beyond because you don't need the Deion Sanders style guy. Look at the guys when they had the Tampa defense, Tampa 2 with Dungy. A lot of those cornerbacks they found later, and I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. A true stud was found real late. So as you get into it now, we'll go into this last part here. I talked about the benefits and who weekends. Draft fits. At 11, there's a few stud defensive players that could fall. But there's only a few that I would say are worth it. We got to look at the offensive side. I'm not totally dialed in on all these players yet. But for me, Styles, the linebacker, he was a safety, 6'5", 243, can cover, can shoot like a dick soup. He reminds me of a lower level Parsons. That's the guy I hope we get. Fit him with Brooks, and it would be phenomenal. And Brooks is a little bit older, can train him. And then when Brooks moves on, you got another linebacker. It's not what they would call a premier position. Most people say premier position is quarterback, tackle, cornerback, edge player, and probably receiver. But in what the scheme we want to do and how hard it is to find these linebackers, this guy is really smart. And he's my favorite so far. Caleb Downs is another one. He's got the intelligence and the leadership, a little bit small, but I think he would work well for us. And he might be a generational safety, but I'm still leaning right now towards Styles because I don't know. Something about him. But I wouldn't be down on Caleb Downs in the least. And then there's Mansour Delane. He probably be, we might be lucky to get one of these guys. They might, none of them might fall to us at 11, and that would kind of suck. But one of these three guys, I like Delane because he's got it all. He's really smart. He watches the quarterback, very good in the zone. He had a core muscle issue and played well this year, so he's tough, and that fits the Halfley bill. So those are the three guys. Ruben Bain, I'm not big on him, short arms. He's a good run stopper. But at 11, Colton Hood, he could be a guy, but he's a press corner. Don't know if he fits. Cassius Howell, is he a three-down guy? Avril Reese is a guy I'm looking at, but I think he's going to be gone very early. So that's really what I'm seeing. You got Jermon McCoy. Some people like, but he's ACL. He's a good corner, but he had an ACL tear. Acceleration. Acceleration's more important than zone and speed. And I don't like the tear and the acceleration. And there's also some decision reporting. I got to watch the film on zone switch offs. So really, that's why I'm pinned down to Styles, Downs, and Delane as the defensive picks. Not saying not offensive, but those would be the three guys I'm hoping one of them falls to us at 11. So that's the deal. Get ready. I'm going to do my best to be the best I can at this drafting. George's going to help me bone up. But there's a lot of information here, but I hope you enjoyed. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.